I got home early from a business trip, only to find my alpha husband and our son celebrating someone else's birthday. An amazing alpha like Dad deserves someone like Justin, my son said, nestled affectionately in the man's arms. Why is a beta my other dad? Anyway, the Omega chuckled, looking up at Dave. Dave, if he wasn't in the picture, would you have married me? Yes, Dave answered. Just then, a stream of comments scrolled across my vision. Does anyone else get how hot a pitiful, wholesome, well-built beta bottom is? That chest, that narrow waist, those legs, if the toxic top won't have him, I will. My heart, once burning with love, plunged into an icy abyss. I had never seen such a tender expression on Dave's face. Maybe it was because in his eyes, I was just a shameless, scheming beta. And in the eyes of the child I'd nearly died to give birth to, I was just his embarrassing beta dad. I stumbled out of the mansion in a daze. I should go back up there, start a fight, make a scene. But then what? I just looked like a hideous madman, making my child and the man I loved hate me even more. Besides, I didn't even have the right to cause a scene. I stood frozen at the main gate. The white porch light flickered, casting a cold, sterile glow. It dawned on me that this place had never really been my home. A bone-deep chill and a belated sense of pride drove me to turn and walk away. Go. Just go right now. Get out of here. Anywhere would be better. Even if I was just a beta, I had hands and feet. I could find a way to make a living anywhere. Suddenly, another line of text flew past my eyes. Does anyone else see how ridiculously hot this poor, sweet, well-built beta looks right now? That chest, that waist, those legs, if the toxic top won't have him, I will. The thought of him going through hundreds of chapters of angst and groveling just for the toxic top to win him back makes me sick. Dave doesn't deserve him. Dave suffers later on, so I actually feel a little bad for him. He's already fallen for the beta, he just hasn't realized it yet. What is wrong with you people feeling sorry for the toxic top? Look at what the bottom is going through. He was tricked into having a kid, and the kid's name is a tribute to the top's old flame. And his son's been brainwashed into thinking his beta dad is embarrassing. They'd rather pay a total stranger, an Omega, to go to his school events than let Liam go. How much have those two ungrateful jerks made him suffer? And it all gets swept under the rug just because he forgives them? What were these words talking about? The names were all familiar, but I couldn't make sense of a single sentence. But it was true. Ever since my son was old enough for school, I'd never once been to a parent-teacher conference for him. Lost in shock from this strange phenomenon, I didn't see the black sports car screech to a halt right in front of me. The window rolled down, revealing a young man with black hair, so beautiful he was almost androgynous. His cold eyes swept over me, his voice low. Wandering around in the middle of the road at night? You got a death wish? Before I could apologize, I was stunned by a dense barrage of comments. The villain has arrived. This is the real love story. The one who acts like he doesn't care is actually madly in love. If the beta so much as looks at him, I bet his little brother will stand at attention. Crude, but not wrong. Though maybe a little too crude. Beautiful top and a well-built bottom is the connoisseur's choice, you feel me? Declan fell for the sweet guy a long time ago. In the end, he took on the toxic top's entire empire by himself to try and save him from being held captive. He did so much for Liam, but the poor guy never knew. I remember in the epilogue, the villain only dies after he's in the grave with him. Hey, person above me, could you go check if my headlights are working? Stand right in front of the car. Why don't you just say something? Why do you let the sweet beta misunderstand you? The tragedy. Declan. I only remembered seeing him once at a party Dave threw. Logically, he should have been one of Dave's cronies. I remembered I had needed to find Dave about something that night and was led to a private room. The white-haired alpha sat on the sofa, the bar's dim lighting carving out his perfect bone structure. The light from above was blocked by his brow, leaving his eyes in deep shadow. He kept his gaze fixed on his phone, not sparing me a single glance. Dave's not here. So what these comments were saying, how was that possible? Everything was happening so fast my head was spinning. I'm sorry. I bowed my head and quickly moved to the side of the road. The text in front of my eyes seemed to multiply, thick and distracting. Declan barely lifted his eyelids. His gaze shifted past me toward the brightly lit mansion in the distance, and his slightly furrowed brow seemed to relax. Oh, so Dave is with Justin? The young man's expression was neutral, but his tone dripped with sarcasm. Felt like he was mocking me. My mood soured even more. I didn't respond, just kept my head down and walked forward. Once I was a good distance from Declan, the comments thinned out. I bet Declan is secretly thrilled that the beta finally knows the truth. He probably thinks he has a chance now. He's so in love. But he has zero tact. Liam is already so miserable. Sigh. But Liam is still in love with that deadbeat toxic top. Declan doesn't stand a chance. I live for this kind of trashy drama. If you don't like it, get out. The summary warned you it was a toxic top meets doormat bottom story. Why click on it if you're just going to complain? Seriously? Liam. He must have gotten out of the car at some point. With his long legs, he caught up to me in no time. A faint floral scent enveloped me. I paused and turned my head to look at him. He was half a head taller than me. I pouted. Damn these alpha genes. His driver followed slowly behind us in the car. Do you remember my name? His voice was even, as if he were just asking casually, offhandedly. He looks like he doesn't care, but he's dying inside. Oh my God, his pheromones are so strong. Who would have thought the Frost family's cold young master would have pheromones that smell like damask roses? He's definitely broadcasting, but Liam is a beta, so he can't sense it at all. But it's covering up the toxic top's pheromones, which is awesome. The smell of smoke is so gross, like being forced to breathe secondhand smoke. I took a deep breath and turned to face Declan. Declan, why are you following me? To laugh at me? Alphas were probably all the same, cold, arrogant, looking down on betas from their very bones. And I was a bottom-tier beta at that. But hearing me say that, the heir to the Frost fortune didn't get angry. He just stared at me with his deep-set eyes and suddenly let out a laugh. His cool, handsome face was instantly flooded with vibrant life. What a beautiful alpha. I quickly looked away. Honestly, he was prettier than most of the Omega celebrities I'd seen on TV. Declan said, Beta, I'm not like Dave. Be with me. I blinked. Are you insane?
I'm disciplined.
I'm in bed by 10. I have a strong moral compass. I don't cheat. I'm clean. And I don't have an old flame, the young man continued. And I'd never force a beta. My first meeting with Dave was a complete mess. Back then, to escape his family's control, he had moved into a tiny apartment under a fake name. I, on the other hand, had come to the big city to work and make a living. By a twist of fate, we became roommates. In the quiet rhythm of our daily lives, I gradually fell for the quiet young man. He would leave a light on for me when I worked the night shift. He would knock on my door when I overslept and bring me breakfast. I thought he was a beta just like me, but on a humid, stormy night, he suddenly went into a violent rut. He knocked on my door. I didn't sense anything was wrong at the time, not until he pushed me down on the bed. Help me, Liam. It hurts so much. I'm in agony. You feel so cool against my skin. I love it. His tear-filled, hazy eyes left me powerless to resist. For 7 days and 7 nights. I'm a beta, not the star of some adult film. Whether I was awake or asleep, he was always on top of me. When I finally came to, he was standing by the window, smoking a cigarette, holding the love letter I had written him. It was a letter I had poured all my heart into, but before I could give it to him, it had fallen into his hands. The alpha looked down at me, his dark eyes unreadable. I'm sorry. I'll take responsibility. I wanted to say that I didn't know he was an alpha. I wanted to say I wasn't after his status. But in the end, I said nothing and just gave a soft okay. No matter what, the outcome was good, wasn't it? A relationship between an alpha and a beta wasn't accepted by mainstream society, so of course we never got a marriage license. Later, after a bout of morning sickness, I discovered I was pregnant. A male beta, someone whose reproductive organs had almost completely atrophied, was pregnant. I was terrified at the time and wanted to terminate it. But Dave sat beside me in silence, and after a moment, he took my hand. Let's have the baby. I'll support you both. Even though he never introduced me to his social circle. Even though he never gave me anything. Just that one promise was enough for me to risk my life to give birth to our child. Luckily, the test showed he was a genetically superior little alpha, and as we spent more time together, Dave's attitude toward me gradually softened. I thought that if I raised our child well, we could have a small, happy home together. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. When that Omega returned from abroad, I finally learned that he was Dave's first love. And the reason Dave had defied his family and rented that apartment in the first place was for that Omega. Those memories convinced me it would be better to just go back to the countryside. With the money Dave had given me over the years, I could make a decent life for myself there farming. Listening to Declan, I was a little confused. I didn't know if keeping a beta was the new trend among the upper class, but for me, just having enough to eat and a warm place to sleep was enough. I'm sorry, but I think I'll just go home and farm. Declan's eyelashes trembled. Okay. He kept walking beside me. I glanced at my phone. Neither my son nor his father had replied to the message I'd sent 3 hours ago. The more I scrolled up through our chat history, the clearer my head became. This was all a one-man show. Meanwhile, on his social feed, Dave had posted a photo with the Omega. My son was beaming like a flower in the picture. Their captions were full of heartfelt blessings. Happy birthday to my dearest Justin. I had never once appeared on his feed. I'll give you a ride out of here, Declan said, glancing at my phone. I said, okay, thank you. Since I was planning to leave the Reed family, I had to start saving my money. We didn't have a marriage license, and our son's legal records were tied to the Reed family. I wouldn't get any money, and I didn't have the power to fight for custody. Besides, my son didn't even like me. He thought I wasn't pretty enough, that I was a beta, and that I didn't have a job he could be proud of. Why should I make myself miserable? There's no trouble. Let's go. A hint of a smile seemed to flash in Declan's eyes, but it was too quick for me to be sure. He turned first, and I followed slowly behind him. On a whim, I sent Dave the photo I had just taken at the house. You told me before that you wanted me to leave. I'm agreeing to it now. I wish you two a lifetime of happiness. And congratulations on getting what you always wanted. After a moment's thought, I blocked and deleted him from all my contacts. As soon as I got in the car, the live comments, which had been quiet for a while, suddenly reappeared. Wait, why is the plot different from the first time I read this? Are we reading a fanfic version? Aha. He's in the car. He's in the car. Liam got in Declan's car. Declan is driving a very happy little sports car right now. Declan, you have to be a master manipulator and win Liam over. A master manipulator is our only hope. With this setup, you have no idea how satisfying it will be to watch them get revenge. And did Liam just block the toxic top? So satisfying. Great for my blood pressure. I bet you it'll only take 3 days before Dave starts to lose his mind. The groveling for forgiveness arc is starting this fast? And he's already with Declan? Oh my God. Did the author finally take their meds? I'm praying for an endgame with the cold on the outside, warm on the inside, beautiful top. Declan, are you going to make a move or not? You're dying for him but won't say it. If you don't, I will. I just want to bury my face in that chest. I closed my eyes, trying to ignore the comments. Was I having a mental breakdown? Should I get this checked out? Could these comments be telling the truth? I don't know why, but on a sudden impulse, I glanced at the young man resting beside me with his eyes closed. Declan, do you like me? I asked. Declan's eyes flew open, and he whipped his head around to look at me. WTF? Are we skipping straight to the finale? Damn it. All these comments are making me say weird things. Before Declan could say another word, the roar of an engine and the screech of brakes sounded at the same time. The immense inertia sent my body flying toward the seat in front of me. But the pain never came. The alpha threw his arm out, pressing me into his chest. Something hard was under his shirt. Felt like a necklace. It was digging into me, and it kind of hurt. I frowned slightly. I could just make out a red cord disappearing into his collar, with a raised shape hidden under the fabric. Young master, it's Dave Reed. The driver's voice came from the front. Declan let out a soft tch. Dave? What was he doing here? I instinctively tried to pull away from Declan's embrace. But the alpha's grip was too strong. With my sight obscured, my other senses became sharper. I could hear his strong heartbeat, which was racing from the sudden incident. Then, I heard a violent pounding on the car door. Declan, get the hell out here. From what I knew of Dave, he was on the verge of exploding. I unconsciously clutched the cuff of my sleeve and pressed my lips together. Don't be scared. Declan patted my shoulder reassuringly before finally letting me go. I could see again. Outside, the pounding on the door grew louder. At the same time, the comments exploded. Okay, but is Dave on steroids or something? He just starts smashing doors when he doesn't get his way? Aha! They hugged. They hugged. When did Declan get so bold? This is so out of character. Isn't this tight-lipped young master supposed to be the type who's secretly dying of love but acts all cold and indifferent on the surface? But the writing style is definitely the original author's. And besides a few weird actions, nothing else seems off. It's 120% off. Are we really reading the original story? Are you all on your second read-through? This is my first time and I'm kind of loving it. Well, congratulations to you gritting teeth. Dave, does your grandfather know you're out here acting like a wild animal? Smashing other people's cars? The window rolled down, and Declan's expression turned cold as he looked up at the man outside. A stare down between two top-tier alphas. The air around us seemed to freeze. Dave took a deep breath, calming himself. He ignored Declan's question and looked straight at me. The next second, his sharp features crumpled, his eyes reddened, and he said pitifully, "It took so much for me to win you back. We were only asleep for a little while. Liam, how could you leave me again?" I was stunned. I had never seen him look like this before, like a puppy abandoned in the rain. A stream of question marks flew across the screen. What the hell is he on about? Huh? The toxic top can cry? Did he just say something that makes sense? Did the author's account get hacked? And I was just as full of question marks as they were. What did he mean again? Ha! Declan's cold sneer broke the stalemate. He took my phone and tapped on the picture I had taken. Oh, putting on such a devoted act. Was that your twin brother having dinner with your old flame? Dave stared at the photo, his pupils contracting violently as he looked at me. Liam, that wasn't me. No, I'm not him. I've changed, you have to believe me. I couldn't quite grasp what he meant and said, confused, but you told me to get out just a few days ago. How could an alpha change so quickly? Was this also controlled by pheromones? He froze, then said in a voice feigning strength, if I told you that the Dave from half an hour ago and I are from different timelines, would you believe me? Holy crap. Wow, this is insane. The comments were all exclamations now. You and the other Dave are still the same person, Declan said, glancing at me. All the hurt doesn't just disappear with time. Once someone has experienced it, the damage is done. That's right, the damage is done. I came back to my senses, my lips tightening as my tone grew sharp. Dave, go home. I don't want the child either. Dad? What are you saying? The other two who had chased after Dave appeared at that moment. My son, who had been about to support the swaying Dave, was now staring at me, his own eyes turning red. My words hit the child hard. He started yelling just like his father. Liam, what did you say? You don't want me anymore? You think I like you? Having a beta for a dad is embarrassing. Embarrassing. Aiden, Dave said, his voice hoarse. He clutched his head as if in pain. Don't talk to your dad like that. Soon you'll be crying every night, begging for him. Father, are you crazy? I hate Liam, father. Dave collapsed. Aiden cried out for his father and rushed to catch him. Justin, however, frowned at me. Liam, you're such an unfit parent, saying something so irresponsible in public. No wonder. He stopped mid-sentence, covering his red lips with his hand in an exaggerated gesture. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to criticize you. I was just worried seeing Aiden so upset. After all, you're a beta, so you don't have much empathy. My apologies. Though he was apologizing, There wasn't a shred of remorse in his eyes, only malice and mockery. Declan sneered. The guilty always make the most noise. When Justin saw who was sitting next to me, his face went blank for half a second. Justin, your family is still as classless as ever. Your Omega father was, and so are you. The young man continued with a smirk, ignoring the hatred in the other's eyes. His words were slow and deliberate, like a small knife carving flesh, each cut drawing blood. Declan. The color drained from the Omega's lips, the venom in his eyes flashing for a second before being replaced by a mask of fake propriety. Saying things like that shows you have no regard for the way or Reed families. But whatever. Let's get together sometime when you're free. We have a lot of misunderstandings between us that I think we should clear up. Ha! Declan rolled up the window, blocking my view. The car started moving forward. I could faintly hear my child's shouts. Dad, if you leave, I'll never acknowledge you again. Go ahead, you little brat. Your dad doesn't want you anymore, Declan retorted playfully. A child's loud wail followed. I rubbed my temples and lowered my head. I didn't have many things, just one woven plastic bag. It was now sitting in the trunk of the car. The scenery outside the window flew by, as if rapidly running over my past memories. My family was dirt poor, living in a mountain gully. I only finished middle school. My parents died early, and my grandmother raised me. I had planned to stop schooling after elementary school. But my beta teacher walked for miles into the mountains and pounded on my door, yelling, Liam, come to school with me. I opened the door and saw the young man with mud on his face, his clothes torn by thorns. Teacher, I don't have any money, I said softly. Betas were the worker bees of this society. All resources were funneled toward alphas and omegas. The Federation believed in survival of the fittest. The government wasn't kind enough to waste money on charity like this. My grandmother had sold her last piece of dowry jewelry just to scrape together the money for my elementary school tuition. The teacher looked at me, then took my hand. Son, I'll pay your middle school tuition. You have to go to school. Life is too hard for a beta, and it's even harder without an education. My grades in middle school were excellent. My teacher wanted to keep supporting me through university. But in my first year of high school, my grandmother passed away. I was left all alone. I packed that same small woven bag and left all the money I had saved at my teacher's doorstep. I left the mountains by myself and came to the city to start my life as a migrant worker. Now, that plastic fiber bag sat on the luxurious carpet, looking completely out of place. Just like me in this glamorous city. I calmly looked away. I didn't end up going home. Instead, I went with Declan to his house. He gave me a beautiful room, and lots of beautiful clothes and accessories. Even though I didn't know how expensive these high society things were, they were clearly worth a fortune. Declan carried my woven bag with one hand and carefully placed it in a corner of the room. Then he looked at me and said softly, lay low for a few days. After things cool down, I'll get you out of here, okay? But I'm worried you'll. The Frost family isn't afraid of some guy named Reed. You don't have to worry. He immediately understood what I meant. You can stay here without any worries. I'll handle the rest. Isn't that too much trouble for you? Declan stared at me with those intensely dark eyes, a small smile playing on his lips. Trouble? Why would it be? I'd be thrilled if. The rest of his words were lost, and I didn't hear them. Aya. He said he'd be thrilled if you stayed with him. I'm the carpet. I can confirm the comment above is true. I'm the lamp. I also confirm. I'm the window. Me too. The comments flew quickly across his head. As he turned to leave, I gently tugged on the corner of his shirt. What's wrong? He asked. Nothing. I thought for a moment and shook my head. I need to go to a hospital. My eyes seem to be broken. Or maybe my brain. The big hospitals in the city must be much better than the one in my village. But I shouldn't bother Declan anymore. He's already helped me so much. I let go of his shirt and smiled, my eyes crinkling. Thank you. Declan offered me a high-paying job as his bodyguard. It wasn't a bad idea. I was tall and broad, and I could look pretty intimidating with a straight face. The problem was he was taller than me and an alpha. If there was someone he couldn't beat, what made him think I could? I was a bit confused. Declan explained that there were some situations where it was inconvenient for him to act, and it would be easier to have a beta handle it. I didn't quite get it, but I nodded anyway, feeling a little disappointed. But no one says no to good money. It was just a change of employer. But here I felt much happier than I did at my old place. I had freedom. I had a monthly salary. Everyone else here was very friendly to me. Declan had stored my woven bag safely in a vault. It was pretty absurd. And I don't know if it was because of the live comments, but I'd been having frequent dreams lately. Dreams of everything the comments said I was supposed to have gone through. Every time I woke up, the dream would mostly be forgotten. But Declan's blue eyes, filled with confusion and sorrow, were deeply seared into my mind. Why would he have that kind of expression? A cool breeze woke me up. The moment I opened my eyes and saw the tombstone, I knew I was dreaming again. I took a closer look. My head cleared instantly. The name on the tombstone was mine. Aiden, are you really going to do this? An old man who looked vaguely familiar said with a disapproving frown. Your dad and your father are already resting in peace. You're going to disturb them like this. So the tall alpha in the black trench coat standing next to him was Aiden. He really looked like his father, but his features were gentler, and he carried the air of someone in power. I sat by the tombstone, resting my chin on my hand as I watched. I never thought the whiny little kid would grow up to be so stoic. Looks like Dave didn't raise him too badly. Now I could rest easy. Aiden's thick brows furrowed with a mix of anger and pain. I have to do this. That madman, Declan, is crazy enough to have actually thrown my father's body away. Dig it up. Dig it up now. If it's still my dad and my father in there, I'll apologize to them. My mouth twitched. Okay, maybe I couldn't rest so easy after all. And what did this have to do with Declan? Suddenly, I remembered a comment I'd seen once. I hadn't thought much of it at the time, but now, as I watched the dirt being shoveled away, my heart leaped into my throat. When I saw two bodies, so decomposed their features were unrecognizable, I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. The larger corpse was holding the more decomposed one tightly, and between them, a ring glinted. I'd seen that ring around Declan's neck. He wore it on a cord. What the? Aiden's expression turned terrifying. He recognized at a glance that this wasn't his father's body. I've been praying at my dad's and this homewrecker's grave all these years. That son of a bitch. Where the hell is my father's body? The dream was too strange. Took me 3 days to recover. Every time I saw Declan, I couldn't help but glance at his necklace. A ring on a red cord. Most of the time, the ring was hidden under his clothes, pressed against his warm skin. Only occasionally would I catch a flash of silver. It was like a closely guarded treasure, which only made one more curious to see it. Just like Declan himself. The quiet, reserved young man I first met was completely different from the Declan I knew now. What had he been through? I found myself growing more and more curious about him. I looked at the serious-faced young man in the mirror, wearing a suit. I shook my head sharply, cutting off the memory, and changed out of it. Declan said it was my work uniform. That suit. I'm telling you, the villain has impeccable taste. Thumbs up. That broad chest, oof. Right, and a stream of shrieking comments that got progressively more explicit until they were censored. Young master. Young master. The butler's shouts broke my train of thought. I opened the door and walked out of my room to find the butler chasing a small child who was running wild. Another child stood at the door with his arms crossed, his little face expressionless. I hurried downstairs, took a few quick steps, and snatched the troublemaker up. Mr. Peterson. Thank you, Liam. These old bones of mine can't take this kind of running around. Mr. Peterson wiped the sweat from his brow and took the child from my hands with a sigh of relief. You're welcome. My gaze swept over the child still standing by the door. His hair was white, and his eyes were a deep ocean blue. You could see the Frost family genes at a glance. I looked away and started back to my room. Oh, these two kids. I remember them. They're Declan's sister's children, right? The black-haired one is Cole, and the white-haired one is Finn. Their parents both died in an accident, leaving the two kids behind. I remember both kids really liked Liam, but he didn't pay them much mind. He ended up dying and Declan died too. Everyone thought these two kids were bad luck, and their ending wasn't great either. Sigh. These comments made me pause on my way up the stairs. I instinctively turned my head and saw Finn staring at me blankly, his eyes red. He didn't look like a block of ice, more like a dazed little bunny. When our eyes met, he flinched and quickly looked away. A moment later, the little white-haired fluffball secretly turned his head back. He saw I was still looking at him. A faint blush appeared on his pale face. He was the same age as my son, but his temper was much cuter than that little mule's. "Wanna come play in my room?" I asked. "Who do you think you are?" "My brother would never," Cole started to say. "Okay." Finn nodded. "Ha ha 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 ha. I'm dead." Cole's face is like, "Who the hell possessed my brother?" The butler's expression is saying, "The young master hasn't smiled in 5 years. You're the first man to make him smile. You're hilarious. So cute, wah. Please let them all be happy this time." When Declan got back, Cole dropped his building blocks and ran over, shouting, "Uncle!" Finn, however, just glanced up, then looked at the spot Cole had vacated. He shifted his body and settled comfortably into my arms, dozing off. The young alpha saw this and raised an eyebrow, not looking surprised at all. I hope they weren't too much trouble today. He took off his black trench coat, leaving on a smoke-gray turtleneck. With his white hair tied back, he looked less intimidating. I smiled and shook my head. "No trouble at all. I quite like kids." "Did you drink?" It wasn't obvious at first, but as he got closer, I smelled the faint scent of alcohol. Up close, I could see a thin film of moisture over his beautiful blue eyes. Just a little. Couldn't get out of it. "Mrs. Bailey is already making some tea to sober me up." The young man stared at me, then smiled, his lips pursed. He sat cross-legged beside me, stroking Finn's head in my lap. "Why didn't you say hello to your uncle, huh? You little rascal." "Yeah, exactly," Cole chimed in from the side. This warm scene made me freeze for a moment. At the Reed estate, the servants sent me to the hospital, and no one stayed with me. After I gave birth, no one came. Before they had even determined the baby's gender, it was just me and Aiden in that huge mansion most of the time. He would ask me every day, "When is father coming back? Does father not like me?" I pressed my lips together and would just hold him tight, saying, "No, Aiden, father is just very busy." The hollow words echoed in the empty room, over and over, until I almost believed them myself. It wasn't until Justin arrived that I finally woke up from the illusion I had woven for myself. Dave just didn't like me, and by extension, he didn't like anything that came with me. If Justin liked Aiden, then he would like him too. I understood this, but I couldn't help but think back to that hot, humid, rainy night. The kiss he left on the back of my neck, the complicated look in his eyes filled with hesitation and a shallow affection, and that flimsy promise. Pain, tearing, despair, and a hopeless expectation. That was the environment I lived in for those years, until the last straw fell gently on my back, and the entire mirage came crashing down. "Uncle." I came back to my senses and looked down at Finn in my arms. "What?" the alpha asked with a half-smile. "Liam gives better pats than you," Finn said seriously, shaking the little bunny I had woven for him. "I like Liam too. You're my rival now." I closed my bedroom door, but the image of the young man blushing from his neck to the top of his head kept flashing in my mind. "Uncle, your face is so red," Cole said, confused. Finn added, deadpan like a cooked shrimp. Declan covered his face in a futile gesture, his voice laced with a hint of a breakdown. "Stop talking. I'm a little drunk. I don't understand what they're saying. I'm gonna go drink some sobering tea." The alpha covered his face and staggered to his feet, but he lost his balance and fell toward me. Finn, being a little alpha, dodged with nimble reflexes, avoiding the fate of being crushed. I instinctively reached out to catch him, and he fell on top of me. He was heavier than I remembered. I was braced for it, but not enough, and ended up being tackled to the floor. He propped himself up on his arms on either side of me, staring at me blankly. His blue eyes were like a whirlpool in a clear sea, captivating. The ring fell out from his collar, dangling between us. The light refracting off the diamond made me a little dizzy. I could vaguely see some letters engraved on the inside of the band, but I couldn't make them out. The young man's lips trembled, and his head slowly lowered. He was getting closer and closer. Just then, a chubby little hand reached out between us. "Uncle, we're just kids," Finn said with a blank expression. The atmosphere was instantly shattered. As if he felt even more embarrassed, Declan flopped onto me, burying his face in the crook of my neck, and didn't move. It wasn't until Mrs. Bailey came to call him that Declan slowly got up, mumbled, "I'm going to drink some tea," and fled. My face felt a little hot too, and I rubbed it awkwardly. "Ooh, 2 red apples," Cole exclaimed. I had just sat down on my bed when my phone vibrated. I opened my messages and saw it was another text from Dave. "Liam, our son asked when you're coming home today. He misses you a lot. I know you love Aiden very much too, and you want to give him a warm home. You wouldn't want our son to grow up without a complete family, would you? I'm not the same person I was before. We went through a lot, but we still ended up together. We forgave each other and loved each other even more deeply. Heaven saw our sincere love and gave us a chance to start over. This time, let's just skip all the drama and get back together. Enjoy every day together. How about it?" He had become persistent and patient. I'd block one number, and he'd just use another. I gripped my phone, my brow furrowed tightly. What was all this nonsense? Rebirth? A past life? He was just saying whatever came to his mind. And in front of me, the comments appeared again. "Sigh, having a kid is a surefire way to tie down a beta. It's kind of disgusting. I remember in the original plot, the main alpha used Aiden to get the beta's forgiveness. Not to be rude, but this alpha is so arrogant. Why is he still threatening the beta? Hasn't he been reborn? He's still completely unrepentant. I seriously doubt he's realized he did anything wrong." I used to fight with readers in the comments section about this. Even though the novel says the alpha and beta reconciled and lived happily ever after, I can guarantee that this alpha will definitely go back to hurting the beta. There will be domestic violence and cheating. He's just not used to not having a live-in maid anymore. He's fundamentally that kind of person. He'll never change. I agree with the person above. You can't try to change someone. You have to find someone who is already good. Honestly, I think the author originally just wanted them to be together. That's how the plot was going, so the beta was still in love with the toxic top, and the villain was completely off his radar. But this time seems different. I'm kind of excited. I took a deep breath. I didn't understand how these comments worked, or if I was just having psychological problems after all the trauma. But the comments were right. A person can't completely change into someone else. And my child, since he no longer acknowledged me as his dad, why should I humiliate myself by being sentimental? I frowned and thought for a moment. What past life, what this life? I only have this one life, and I want to live it seriously and work hard. I don't know what you're talking about, but I know one thing. There's nothing between us anymore. Please let me be free. Isn't that what you've always wanted? He was such a proud alpha. After seeing me say something so final, he should leave me alone, right? I quickly received a reply. "Freedom? You want freedom? I won't allow it. You're mine. You'll always be mine. You'll forgive me in the end, because you love me. You did in our last life, you will in this one, and you will in the next. You can never escape me. Since you left me just like last time, does that mean if I just do everything I did before, we can go back to how things were? I love you, I love you, I love you." Countless I love yous filled the entire message, radiating a chilling madness. "Psycho," I muttered, deleting the message and blocking yet another unknown number. After that day, things were calm. My life gradually returned to normal. It was even better than before. I no longer had to wait in an empty room for someone who might never come home. I had my own life, my own friends. Everyone was great. Life had direction and hope. For the first time, I felt a sense of belonging in this big city. Declan didn't stop me from getting a part-time job or from making friends. He would just look at me with mournful eyes, sigh, and ask, "Was Liam happy today?" "Very happy," I'd nod enthusiastically, until I was knocked out, and when I woke up, I found myself back in a familiar room, as if I had returned to a nightmare. The curtains blocked most of the sunlight, leaving just enough for me to make out the silhouette of the young man sitting by my bed. "You're awake?" I would never forget that voice. Its owner had been entangled with me for so long. I licked my dry, chapped lips and said, word by word, "Dave, what are you trying to do?" "Just trying to get life back on track." Those warm hands cupped my face, forcing me to meet his gaze. I saw the blazing fire of possession burning in his eyes. I turned my head away, not wanting to look at him, but he held me firmly. "Dave, you're insane." "Insane? You've never spoken to me so harshly before." The young man whispered, "I was just unlucky. The timing of my transmigration wasn't right. You can't just stop loving me because of that. You forced my hand, but it doesn't matter. It's all about to end. What are you going to do?" I suddenly had a terrible feeling. I just need to take care of one other accident. "My dear, just wait for me for a few more days." He met my eyes, and his expression shifted. He covered my eyes with one hand and said through gritted teeth, "Don't look at me like that. You love me. You love me. A person can't be a doormat forever," I said calmly in the darkness. The me from my dreams. He had been struggling, resisting, but he was pushed along by an unseen force, entangled with Dave. It was as if heaven was forcing me to do it. The days passed like this. My phone was taken away, and my movements were confined to this small room. Occasionally, Aiden would come to keep me company. He had become very quiet. "Dad?" Aiden said softly, looking at the untouched food in front of me. "I made all of this. Please try some." "Let me out," I said. I couldn't bring myself to say anything harsh to my own child. He held up his small hand, a blister on his finger from a burn. "Dad, I got hurt." As stubborn as his father. I sighed. "Didn't the servants treat it for you?" "No." "Dad, I want you to help me," Aiden said. "Then let me go get the first aid kit." Aiden said, "Okay." He tugged on the corner of my shirt and followed me out. The bodyguard glanced at Aiden and silently returned to his post. I easily found the first aid kit in the living room and treated his wound. "Dad, today," Aiden started, then hesitated. "What is it?" I watched him stammer, confused. I finished bandaging his finger and looked down to put everything back in the kit. Just then, a flood of comments appeared before my eyes again. "Holy crap, Declan is in big trouble." To avoid being controlled by pheromones to go after that Omega, he destroyed his own glands. "Dave, that monster used Liam's whereabouts as bait. Otherwise, Declan wouldn't have fallen for it so easily." "Ugh, I can't believe this is the protagonist. His heart is rotten to the core. No way, I really like Declan as the main love interest. Is the author really going to kill him off like this?" Sigh, and Liam doesn't know anything. Well, the official pairing is Dave. Ugh, this alpha is so disgusting. Sigh. The things in my hands clattered to the floor. "Dad, what's wrong?" "Aiden, let me out," I said, my voice trembling. "If you still consider me your dad." I finally remembered that today was Aiden's birthday. The image of him wiping away tears while saying he loved me was still echoing in my mind. But there was no time to think about that now. "Mr. Peterson, have you found Declan?" I asked anxiously from a public phone booth. Mr. Peterson just sounded surprised. "We haven't found the young master yet." "Liam, where have you been these past few days?" "I'm sorry, I'll explain later." I covered the receiver and looked at the comments in front of me. With a last shred of hope, I pleaded in a hoarse voice, "You all know the story. Can you help me?" Holy shit, the main character can see us? Wait, now is not the time for this. How are we supposed to help the bottom find the top? Does anyone know where he is? The author hasn't updated. Crap, there's no way. I'm the author's sister. Wait for me. I'm going to find my sister's draft files. Person above. The happy ending is in your hands. Go, go, go. 1 minute passed, then 2. Sweat poured down my face. My sister said this damn thing was already finished. Why is she still writing? First time I've ever wanted to kill an author. Did the keyboard gain sentience and start writing by itself? I've already forced my sister to sit at the keyboard. Wait for me. Holy crap. Words are appearing in the document by themselves. We can't even change it. But the plot is advancing there. It's Creekwood Park. Go to Creekwood Park. It's been abandoned for a while. Declan is locked in a small cabin there. And he's in really bad shape. Liam, your happy ending is up to you to create. I rushed to Creekwood Park. It hadn't been maintained in a long time and was overgrown with weeds. When I found Declan, his breathing was very faint. He was covered in blood. His head bowed as he stroked the ring with his clean hand. I smelled the overwhelming scent of flowers blooming to their peak, just before decay. It was the scent of his pheromones. Declan. I rushed to his side and grabbed his hand, babbling, the ambulance is on its way. Mr. Peterson and the others will be here soon. Just hold on. Is this a hallucination? The young man's pupils were dilated as he struggled to focus. I wanted to press down on the bleeding wound on the back of his neck. It's too late, Liam. He shook his head, his voice still gentle. Don't cry for me. I want you to smile more. This ring, I made it myself in my last life. I never got to give it to you. That day, I felt like life had no meaning, so I just left with you. His hand trembled as he placed the ring in my palm. Be happy, Liam. In our last life, Declan was mute. He never said anything. This life, I want to say it. You cried for me. I would do anything for that. You asked me before if I liked you. My answer is I love you. I will always love you. Forever and ever. He struggled to get the last words out, his gaze lovingly tracing my features before his head fell limply. He was dead. I could feel the warmth leaving his body. Knew he's not really going to die, is he? Please no, they just overcame so much. Author, please give them a happy ending. I'm begging you. Damn it. I refuse to believe I can't beat this keyboard into submission. Don't worry, family. I'm about to teach this keyboard what it means to defy fate. The person above is the author, right? If you don't change it, we're all sending you hate mail. I put my life on the line and managed to change one word. But it's okay. The problem is solved. Huh? What word? He lived. Declan's eyes suddenly shot open. He coughed up a mouthful of blood. What in the... A medical miracle. The author is a god-tier doctor. Is this the ending? Group photo. Confession. We are super cute readers, and we love you both so much. Be happy. Author, you have to write an epilogue. I'm so sad to see it end, but goodbye for now. Don't worry, there will definitely be an epilogue. And it'll be in a way you'll all enjoy as my apology, sob sob. A way we'll all enjoy? I didn't get it. The comments were gradually fading, but the smile on the young man's face in front of me was becoming clearer. I wiped away my tears. I didn't have time to worry about all that. I just threw my arms around him. The sound of an ambulance was getting closer, and I heard Mr. Peterson's urgent calls. The world was coming back into focus, a miracle so bright and dazzling. I wiped my tears again and gave a deep bow to the fading comments. Then, I smiled at Declan and said, "Let's go home." Dave Reed vanished from the face of the earth. His company was absorbed by another. The great Reed family gradually faded into obscurity. When I asked Declan about it, he just smiled. He's not dead. I know Aiden still needs a father. I just had them move somewhere else. He can't lose his dad and his father. You can go see Aiden whenever you want. I was filled with mixed emotions. I gently touched the back of his neck and asked, "How does it feel now?" "It's not a big deal. My husband can't smell pheromones, so it doesn't matter if my glands grow back or not. I just need regular checkups." The young man leaned in, our noses touching, his eyes crinkling into a smile. Our relationship had progressed naturally since that day. I had also gotten used to the pet name he called me. I softly corrected him. "I can smell it. The scent of roses." Remembering that heart-stopping day, I added, "damask roses." In his eyes, the calm blue ocean suddenly churned with a dark undercurrent. "Honey, do you know that telling an alpha who likes you what his pheromones smell like is an invitation?" The young man's heavy gaze fell on my lips, and the next second, he was kissing me, breathing excitedly. Smell me again, honey. Smell me again and tell me what I smell like. Like a peacock fanning its tail. I was kissed until I was dizzy. Vaguely, I saw something familiar flash by, but it seemed to be blue, full of characters and English letters. A link? It must have been my imagination. I hadn't seen any live comments in a long time. You're not paying attention. I'll have to punish you. The young man had already tied his long hair back with one hand, the desire in his eyes thick and startling. The alpha's passion was overwhelming. I couldn't think anymore. In a corner I was no longer paying attention to. A few comments quietly zipped by. Heavy breathing, OMG, so hot. We need to be stealthy this time. We can't let them see us. Keep the comments to a minimum, sisters. Don't disturb the happy couple. Got it, got it. Dropping a string of mysterious numbers and then shutting up. Epilogue. Declan remembered where he first met Liam. In a dimly lit bar, a beta appeared before him. Waist, legs, shoulders, face. One look was all it took. He couldn't tear his eyes away. He knew who this person was. The one Dave Reed was keeping. He forced himself to look back at his phone before the beta noticed. But he couldn't read a single word. All the characters on the screen were just gibberish. Hello? Excuse me. Before the other could finish, Declan cut him off, responding coldly. Dave's not here. The young man smiled good-naturedly, the lines around his eyes seeming to hold some kind of magic that drew Declan in. But no. Declan watched the young man walk away, warning himself internally. You are an alpha with a moral code. You are an alpha who has read the classics. Even a dog wouldn't steal someone's partner, let alone a high-class alpha. Or so the young Declan thought. Declan saw himself as an observer, watching the tangled love and hate between the beta and Dave. Until, in a downpour, Dave stormed off. The beta's body swayed, about to collapse. He rushed forward, holding his umbrella over the beta to shield him from the rain. After taking in Liam, whom Dave had abandoned, the empty mansion suddenly came to life. He came home every day to see the beta's face. So when the beta mumbled about wanting to go back to the countryside and farm, Declan had the entire Chinese-style garden in the backyard torn up. He had it turned into a field for Liam to farm. Seeing the young man smile, and hearing him say thank you over and over, Declan struggled to keep a straight face and just grunted in response. It was so hard to keep from smiling. This felt good. So good. He didn't want to work. He just wanted to come home every day and see the beta's face. He wanted the beta to eat the food he cooked. He wanted the beta to praise him for being good at his work. Even a dog wouldn't steal someone's partner. Screw it. If a dog won't do it, I will. I'm going to do exactly that. Steal someone's partner. The one who isn't loved is the third wheel. That's what his mother said. An alpha must be calm and steady, or his partner will find him unreliable. So Declan tried to imitate his father. He spoke very little, until Liam was leaving and said in a gentle tone, I know you don't like me. I'm sorry for all the trouble I've caused you, Mr. Frost. I won't bother you anymore. Dave shot Declan a cold glance, full of a victor's pride. You'll get your money. Just stay away from Liam from now on. Don't like you? I don't like you? His throat felt clogged. In his suit pocket were 2 newly polished diamond rings. The scraped skin on his fingertips burned again. He had been ready to confess. He'd written 3 drafts, full of edits and revisions. Is it because I didn't talk enough? The young man asked blankly as Liam was about to get in the car. So you couldn't feel? Was it because I said too little? If you had felt my love, would you have chosen to stay? Before he could finish, Dave reached out and slammed the car door shut. The car sped away. Happiness had been within reach. But now it was all gone. Liam would never look at Declan again. He took Declan's happiness and left. The next time he touched happiness was when he was lying next to Liam's corpse. He just didn't want to live anymore. Before, he had been like a rat in the gutter, spying on Dave and Liam's daily life. Until Liam died. He didn't want to stay in this world without Liam for another second. He held the body preciously, closing his eyes in contentment, completely ignoring the foul stench of decay. He didn't dare put the ring on Liam's corpse, because he didn't know if Liam would want it. He just placed it carefully in the space between their chests. Wouldn't it have been nice if we were the main characters of the story? I would have talked more, so you would know how much I love you. I loved you for a whole lifetime, not a single second less.